Alright, Hayes Mega here. Pardon the messy garage. So the last part of the Supermoto, the KLX140 Supermoto project, the last part that was the front axle sliders. So the last thing on the list before this bike is track ready is we need to make a catch can. And really the only fluid that comes out of this bike is gas. I don't know if there's a crankcase vent, because some bikes have like there's like a little hose or filter that comes out like the top of the transmission or the engine housing, and that helps alleviate the pressure inside the engine cases. But I don't know if there's anything like that on this bike, because I can't find anything like that. So really, all we need is to find on the carb there is there's a overflow hose is what it's called. So when your bike falls over, fuel starts pouring out of the carb. That's where it comes from. It comes from the overflow hose, and this one has an overflow hose coming off on the right side of the carb. So and we'll take a look at that later. But so we really need one catch can, and it's for fuel. That's it. There's no coolant on this bike because it's air cooled. There's no radiator. There's nothing like that. So it's a pretty simple bike. That's why it doesn't make a lot of power. So but anyway, there's a couple things I thought about doing. There's a couple ways to make some catch cans. I went on YouTube and I did some research, and but before that, I thought about just using this. It's like a bottle of octane booster, and it's in a nice little aluminum can, and so it was designed to hold octane booster, so it can hold fuel and stuff, so it's fine. But I would have to what I'd have to do with this is probably just drill some holes on the top of the lid here, and then make sure and put some like fittings on it so I can run the hose to it. So when the bike tips over, the fuel goes into the can and not onto the pavement or the racetrack in this case. So I thought about that, and I kind of know where I want to mount it right now. I want to mount it right here to the side of the. So yeah, I wanted to mount it right here on the side, right here on top of the skid plate. I was just gonna strap it to the side of the frame on the front there. There's plenty of space there. The exhaust is actually on the right side. It goes that way, so there's not much heat coming that. I mean, there'll be heat from the head, but that it won't be near the exhaust because the exhaust goes the other way. So we're gonna probably run the hose from here to the catch tube over there. But anyway, this is one thought. I just had this lying around the garage, that's why. It's kind of an old bottle though. Another thing was to use this guy. I know there's a way you can make a catch can out of like a PVC pipe, and this is actually a manual tube. This is what I use on my DR650 to hold lube, which is what's in there. This chain lube in here. But I was thinking of just cutting this thing in half, basically, because it's kind of long. Yeah, probably cut it in half and then like glue the bottom back on, and then make two ports here, and then get a fitting, and then put like a clear hose so you can see how full it is, and then I was gonna run drill two holes in it and then put bar fittings. That's kind of ghetto. Some people just use like a can or something, and I just wanted something nice looking. So lo and behold, I went on YouTube, and there was a guy that made a PCV catch can for his Honda. I don't know what Honda it was, but bam, he used a air compressor filter is what he used. So I found one today. I've been looking all over the place for it. Harbor Freight didn't have they didn't have the one I was looking for. So, and I barely found this one. Apparently, the ones nowadays have like a spring-loaded valve, and I'll show you on my compressor. Actually, it's It's the one that's like on my compressor right now. But this is it. So what this is a inline valve, or it's an inline filter for your air compressor. Basically, you you connect the air compressor to this, and then you have a separate line that goes to your regulator or you know, the air hose. If there's any kind of water or condensation, it gets trapped in here, and then it captures it here, and then you can drain it later. There's a little valve on the bottom here, so it's it's pretty much the same thing as what a catch can does, except this one catches water. But it should be fine. The filter is actually very similar to the filters you see on those like, you know, those carbureted bike fuel filters, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. And so I was looking. I got this for $12 at Home Depot, and I was looking, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Like all the part numbers were the same. It says SKU 401910, and then I looked I was like, how come these ones have like the one with this little springy valve? It's a little springy valve that when you press it up and it opens it and you can drain it. But I don't think that's very secure. You know, the fuel may just come out of it. You know. So I would rather just have like a manual valve, and that's what this is. You can't see it because whoever repackaged this, because it's been opened already, whoever repackaged this didn't repackage it right. There's a little knob here, and then you can use that to open it, and then you can drain the fuel out. So my only gripe about this is it's kind of small. It probably holds like, I don't know, not a lot of fuel. So I don't know if it's gonna work or not. We'll have to actually test it, but it's a pretty nice unit. And you can unscrew the whole cylinder here. So maybe they make longer ones. I don't know, man. But like I said, it's designed for air compressor, but I didn't want one that was too big either. I didn't want one that was too big and was too small. So this was just about the right size. If anything, I would want it to be like probably half as long, a little bit longer than this. But that'd fit there nicely. You know, it looks nice. Basically, so what I have to do left is to I still need parts for this. I need this takes a quarter pipe fitting, one quarter inch pipe fitting, or NPT is what they call it. I have to get that so it can. I have to get the right fitting so it'll fit on the hose that's on the carb. And I'm thinking it's a 1/8 barb fitting, but we'll see when I get it. I'm gonna head over to Royal Brass, and they should be able to get me something like that. But so anyway, like I said, I got this at Home Depot. So if you're looking for them, that's where you can find them. You can probably get them on the internet too at Home Depot. There is another one I saw too. These are not very common. They don't really. I don't think they make them this style anymore. They have the one with the springy thing. Another thing I was thinking about is you could probably just put a vacuum cap on the bottom, and then that'll keep it from dripping out too. So it's not like it's under a lot of pressure. So yeah, so that's what I got to work with. So when I still have to get the fitting, so we'll check that out then. But I'll show you what the other kind of looks like. Take a look at my compressor here. So there it is. You can see there's actually some water in it right now too. That's not good. So this is kind of like, it's pretty much the same thing as that other one, except this one has a pressure gauge on the side here, so you can tell how much pressure. There's a pressure gauge and there's a regulator, but the one I bought doesn't have any of that stuff on it. So it's just kind of just designed to go in line of everything. Or if you had all this stuff like separate, you know, kind of like this one. There's actually, I have two compressors. Here's another one, and this is just the filter. But this one is massive. I don't want one that big. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to keep everything small. You don't want it too big on the bike because, you know, there's not a lot of space, and you don't want it to get damaged when you get in a fall. But anyway, so the valve I'm talking about, this is pretty much the same construction as the other one, but there's a little valve under here, and when there's no pressure in the tank, I don't know, this one's been sticking lately though. You can open it, and the water comes out. See, and you see, I just touch it a little bit and the water comes out. Don't worry, that's just water. Yeah, so if that would be fuel, you know. So that's why I opted to get the one with the manual valve. I can actually close this now, but it's kind of like the way this one is designed is it's automatic. It automatically drains itself pretty much when the pressure reaches like 0. There's a little there's a spring in here and it opens up, and then it drains itself automatically. And since it's water, like, you don't really care, you know. Or you can get a hose and you could plumb it to like a container or something, you know. But we're talking about fuel here. You don't want it to empty itself automatically. So that's why I decided not to get this style right here. I'm not sure if you can add a different kind of valve to it, but yeah. So that's what it looks like. That's the one you don't want. But I did kind of think that maybe, I'm not really sure where it empties. I think it empties from this fitting here. You could probably put a vacuum cap on this, and then that would keep the fuel from coming out. And then when you wanted to empty it, just take the cap out and then just drain it into like something, or drain it into a little cup and then put it back in your gas tank or something, you know. It would actually filter it too, because it has a filter too. So if there's any kind of dirt in the fuel, it'll filter it. So it's pretty good idea, and I want to try it out. So, and it's a nice unit. So anyway, so that's Hades Omega's plan of attack for getting the last part of the Supermoto project done. Is to make this catchcan. So I didn't want to go out and buy one that was already made, but I already spent like $12. I think you can get them for like about $20 or maybe $30 ready-made ones, but they're designed for like oil and like automobiles. So this one is just it's a really small bike. I don't really need anything heavy duty. I've had ones in my car before, and they're pretty big. I also thought about making some from some PVC pipe or ABS pipe, and then putting some caps on it, and then putting fittings sticking out of it and stuff. That might work too. So if this doesn't work, we'll go with that. But I do like this idea. This is a good idea. All right, here's me go. Oh, actually, let's go check out where the line is too. So the line I'm talking about is this one right here. So there's a line coming off the side of the car. I have to take this plastic off to see it better, but there's a line coming out here. You guys will see it when we start working on it. And then it just kind of goes down there. Now, so when your bike tips over, the fuel starts overflowing from the bowl, and it starts going out of that hose and onto the dirt, the trail. So, I mean, that's what happens. So, I don't know why they just don't have catch cans on dirt bikes. Why not? It would be better for the environment, you know. Anyway, I think Dual Sports have them. They have a charcoal canister for Dual Sports, I think. But none of my bikes. All my bikes have those smog equipment taken off. So, all right. If you have a California bike and you still have the charcoal canister on it, I don't think your bike will leak fuel when it gets knocked over. If you have a fuel injected bike, I don't think it would leak also, because everything's you have like a fuel pump and everything's kind of like enclosed. So this a carbureted bike's a little different. But anyway, the good thing about this bike is that's the only thing that we have to address. There's nothing else. There's no coolant. There's no oil. Nothing like that. So it's a very simple bike. All right, so that is my little introduction. We'll go over all the parts when I get everything together. I gotta get some hoses and some fittings. So, all right. Okay, Hades Omega here, and I have gathered all the parts to do our little catch can. So, a little update on the catch can is the biggest thing is I got the fittings that we needed. So, there are these two here. These uses quarter NPT fittings, so those are the kind of fittings you're going to have to get for this. and I'll tell you what they are and how much they cost. And that is that's the hose for the drain. I don't know if we're gonna reuse it. I don't think we are, because it's not long enough, I think. So if you remember correctly, we're gonna mount this over here. So I'm gonna have to make some kind of bracket or something. This is probably the best place to have it, right there. Plus the exhaust is on the other side. So. And the carb is right here. You can see I took the plastics off the side yesterday, and this is where that overflow hose goes. It's kind of hard to see, but it's where my fingers point. So we got to route the hose from here to the other side of the bike. Let's get back to the parts. So like I said, I'm pretty sure we just need to do the fuel. So we got the unit here. Like I said, it was $12 from thing, and I realized why this is why they went to the new valve, because this old valve sucks. So what I've opted to do is put a valve, a vacuum cap over the end here, so it doesn't leak. And then whenever I want to drain it, I just pull this and then I undo the valve. I think it just kind of tightens it when you tighten it, and then when you loosen it, it opens up the valve. I tried blowing in it, and that seems to be what happens. Like when you tighten it, it gets harder to blow in, and when you loosen it, it gets looser. But we definitely don't want it to leak out, so that's why we're just gonna use this as a drain plug. Is what we're gonna do. If I could find a better valve later, I'll be okay. But I think this will work. So these are the two fittings. Like I said, this uses a 1/4 NPT, or pipe thread. So this is a 1/4. I should have bought like extra fittings, but this is a 1/4 to a 1/4 barb hose, and this is a 1/4 to 3/16 barb. So this is a 3/16, and this is a 1/4 barb right here. I decided to get one side bigger than the other because the other one's just going to be like a vent. And then I got a bunch of hoses here in this box, and I'm going to try to use them. This is a bunch of hoses I have lying around. I don't really care what kind of hose. We're probably just going to use some kind of vacuum hose. Should be fine. There shouldn't be fuel coming out of there unless the bike tips over, you know. Well, hopefully we won't be tipping over on the. Hopefully it won't be on its side on the racetrack, right? All right. So anyway, so yeah, we got to make some kind of vent hose that goes up over here somewhere, and then it'll keep the fuel from coming out, and and it already has a filter here, so that's good. I'm not really sure how that filter works, but and then we're going to use these rubber insulated clamps to help route the hose through the engine. So I'm thinking we're going to probably going to go through here, the front of the head, and then probably run it underneath the cam chain tensioner right here. And we got to try to keep it off of the head. That's the important thing, because the head will, no bake it. We'll probably run it this way, and then we'll put one of those clamps here, and then we'll run it through here, and maybe through here, and then to the unit right here, and then we'll run a hose up here. So that's the plan. I got all the hoses here. We may not reuse this hose. We'll see. It's kind of a pain in the ass, this little project. Yeah, so I've got all the parts assembled, and all we got to do is put it all together. Also, I would like to weigh this before I see how heavy this thing is, because it is a bit heavy. I feel this whole block here is machined to handle 150 plus psi. It's 6 ounces. It's not that heavy, but it does add a little meat to the bike. How we're going to attach it to the bike, I don't know yet. There's some threaded holes here, but they don't go all the way through, I think. No, they don't go all the way through. you might be able to drill it all the way through because it seems like there's nothing else on the other side. I might, yeah, I may drill this out and then run a zip tie around the frame or something. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. It's not too many mounting options other than that. Or we can just zip tie the whole unit. I would like to keep it so we can unscrew the bowl. So it's going to be suspended on the block here on the top part, because you can actually take this bowl up. Now it's not too big a bowl. You can probably unscrew it and then just dump the fuel back in your gas tank because it's filtered. So good stuff. Now hopefully that doesn't make too much of a restriction, but we'll actually test it out. I'll lay the bike on its side with the carb on, and then we'll see if it starts, if it works after. So that is the introduction video, and in the next video we'll get to putting everything together and installing it, and then that's the last part of this project. And we hit the track. All right, here's what we got. Also, kind of quick update. It's not really part of this project part, but I got some more extra. There was a sale on eBay, and I bought some extra counter shaft sprockets. I bought a 13 and 12 tooth. These were only like $7. They were like super cheap. Normally, a counter shaft sprocket will run you like $15, but this bike, the parts are super cheap, and that's one of the things I wanted to make a mini Supermoto like this. If you had if you wanted to do superbike track days and stuff, you're gonna pay a lot of money because tires are expensive, and track day fees are expensive, and parts are generally expensive. But this bike is very inexpensive to operate, so it doesn't take up a lot of fuel. Yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of oil. The parts aren't expensive, like the chain isn't expensive. I guess the rotors are kind of expensive, but the counter shaft sprocket, it doesn't take up a lot of oil. You don't drain a lot of oil out of this thing, and it doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance. And if it does, it's really easy to do on this bike, because you don't have to take all the fairings apart and everything. You crash it, pick it up back up, and keep on riding it for the most part. Hopefully. It can take a fall, man. It's designed for that. Yeah, so that was one of the reasons I wanted to get into like a mini motorcycle track days and stuff. I feel that it's much cheaper than a real racetrack day, and you're going slower speeds. There's less chance of you getting hurt if you have a crash or something. And it's cheaper to race overall. You don't have to have like some fancy racing tires or anything. You're not going that fast. Is what I'm saying. All right. So that's my little update about the update of the Supermoto. We gotta get the catchcan on there and then get onto the racetrack. I will probably take I'll probably take the stand with me to the racetrack, or maybe I should buy like a dirt bike stand or something, because you have to check the chain tightness on a stand, unfortunately. What is it? This guy. So I wanted to try the different counter shaft sprockets at the racetrack to see how they work out. Right now we got the 14 tooth in there, and that's the one that gives us the least power but the most top speed. And I don't know if we're really gonna need a top speed. We'll just have to try each one out and then see how it feels on the butt dyno and how well it goes around the track. All right, here's what we got.